Here's my review of Young Washington. I thought that this was a pretty good movie, and this movie is exactly what it sounds like. Where we're following a young George Washington, and seeing him rise to the ranks to basically become a military general, and it's really good. A lot of this movie is George Washington basically trying to help out and become a general in the French and Indian War. And all the performances here are really good. Got Ben Kingsley in here. The guy who plays George Washington is great as well. And also, this movie just has a very I mean, I assume it's I don't know what the budget is for this movie, but I think from like a production standpoint and costumes, everything was done fantastically. I thought it was really well done and well made. And the guy who plays the young George Washington here does a really good job. And I think what makes him just a really compelling, I mean, I say character, even though compelling performance, is really just his sense of aspiration and admiration of for his country and for what he wants to do and what how he just feels compelled to basically learn from his mistakes and become just a better leader. And it's interesting because obviously this movie is before he actually is about before he became president. But it's still very compelling because you could see all the things that maybe like a great president would have, such as the leadership skills, the care for the people, for his fellow and really just it shows how like old how back in the day presidents were a lot more in touch with society themselves. Obviously he was the first president, but it does just kind of point out how like he was more well known, like he got to like know people and cared about people before he got into politics. And I think that the guy who played the basically the leader of the French did a really good job. And the leader of the French army, I think that this actor did a really good job as well. What really also does a good job, like what really this movie does a really good job as, is this movie shows George failing, like whether he's failing to be a leader at certain points in teaching him humility. And he also learns how just because he's defeated doesn't mean you can't learn and grow as a person and eventually like become like not only a great leader, but just a better person overall. And it is interesting because it was able to show a character arc because at the beginning to like at the beginning of this movie he's a lot more obsessed with his military rank. But as the movie progresses, like he still cares, but throughout the movie he cares less about it and more about just helping the country that he's serving for and fighting for in general. And it was just a really good, fun history movie. And I think, like with any good history war movie, it's not really a war movie, but you do get some really cool battle scenes. You do get, I think, really just personal scenes, learning more, whether it's learning more like just getting to spend time with George or Ben Kingsley's character, Andy Serkis's character, and they all just do such a great job. But it just works because it's just like George Washington as a person is just a very fascinating person, and seeing him just grow throughout the movie and have this obsession that eventually turns into like what almost starts off as like a in a way he's like not necessarily selfish but more like yeah, I guess selfish with just wanting to be a great military leader just to show he could do it and for out of pride, but to almost wanting to be a great military leader for his fellow man. And it just does it's a pretty good movie. Not amazing, but I had a fun time with it. It was pretty good.